Bill here, 30-Minute Wood Shop. Thanks for joining. I'm working on a small guitar stool, all right? And I want to scoop that guitar stool out. Several tools, there's lots of ways to do this. We could use a power saw, we could use, all kinds of different things. More traditionally, all right, they use scorp, an axe like this, okay, bull axe, or travishers and other tools. All right, so I want to do this a little on the traditional side, and I happened to find one of these at an antique store or an antique sale. Got this thing for $12. Now this actually is an antique. This is actually, if you guys could look at it, you could see where this has actually been hand forged. So this thing is probably well over 100 years old. It needs some work because, as I can kind of. It got no edge on it, and it's pretty rugged. So I'm going to grab some files and see what I can do about fixing this thing. So all I have is a Nicholson Mill Baster file. I'm using a file instead of using my grinder because I kind of want to keep as much as possible. I mean, you can see all through here, all where the hammer marks are. The guy that did this didn't do a great job, I'll be frank. He didn't do a great job, but that's okay. I want to keep a lot of this because somebody put a lot of time and effort into this, and it worked. It worked for someone somewhere, so it's going to work for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take the file to it. I'm going to file this whole backside, all right, to about an inch across the back, and then kind of the same thing in the center here. I'm going to get a rat tail file or a half round file, and do the inside and get most of the rust off so they can clear the chips. Once that's done, I'll come back, flatten this edge, and then actually take it to the grinder probably and kind of grind it out and actually put an edge on it. So this is going to take some time and elbow grease. This is not one of those projects where you're going to just jump into it and have it done in 30 minutes. All right, so I've got this kind of down. I think it's far enough. It'll work for me. So I'm going to start trying to shape the edge. I flattened this out and got most of the waves out of it. And now what I'm trying to do is I got a lot of material I have to remove so I can get it to an edge. To do that, I'm using this half round file. And that's going to take, again, it's going to take some time. Hey, come on in, buddy. Yeah. So what a great project. I love recovering old tools. Boy, having the opportunity to recover a tool that's almost 200 years old is absolutely amazing. Now, I talked to a blacksmith about this particular tool, and when he looked at it, he said this thing's someplace around the early to mid 1800s, because this is totally hand forged. He said you can see, and I can actually see it now that he points it out, like for instance here, when the guy made this thing, he made the eye, and then he made the scoop, and then he forge welded the scoop onto the eye. All right, and you can see the lap joint in here. Plus you can see all the hammer marks. So this was actually a user tool. This was one that actually was made to be used, not one that was made, how do I say this? This wasn't made to be pretty. This was made to be useful. So in talking to him, I think we decided this was probably a gutter adz for making gutters for high-end homes. So it's pretty cool. Went through a lot to do this. This is not a fast project, okay? This is a recovery, meaning I'm recovering it to utility, to usefulness, rather than restoring it. Because I don't think, honestly, the patina on here is probably just what the guy would have got out of it when he pulled it out of the forge. So I don't think it was never a beautiful tool. But it's a pretty cool tool. And I got it pretty darn sharp. It's this is my carving axe, which is nothing more than a camp axe that's much sharper than a regular axe. And it holds an edge pretty well. This thing is pretty sharp too. As a matter of fact, I think it's a little sharper than the carving axe. But my problem with that is I don't know what kind of steel this guy used, and I don't know much about how the edge is going to be, how long the edge is going to stay sharp. All right. So if it's good steel and he did a good job, you know, it'll be good. If not, well, we'll see. It'll work for my purposes. It's not something I'm going to use every day, but I'm really happy to be able to recover a 200-year-old tool. All right. Now, what I'd say for you guys is this. Anytime you're out looking at antique stores and antique crap, if you find something, I got this for $12 actually. This guy rounded down. Picked it up. Pardon me. Picked it up on a Sunday. They were pulling up stakes. They gave me 50% off. It was $25, and $12 is exactly what I would have paid for this thing. My comment is go on Sunday, all right, because they're usually trying to get rid of crap, and don't overpay, man. So I see some of these. I see people asking some things for tools that are just absolutely ludicrous. You know, the tool's just not worth it, man. It's just not worth it, especially if you're looking at a user. You know, I'm sure there's some out there that are worth, you know, tens of thousands of dollars that are ebony and ivory and all this other stuff. My job, my thing is look for user tools like these, all right, like this, because I like putting these tools that have seen a lot of use and a lot of years back into service so they can see a few more. So, all that said, get out there, look for some tools, make sure you pay a decent price for them, and put them back into service. So, like always, if you want more information, you can hit more. Down below, you can find tools, you can find materials and things that I use. You might find those things interesting. You know, explore those. You can go down here to 30minutewoodshop.com. Check out my blog. It'll have you know, free plans and those kind of things for you if you're interested. And hey, hope you got something out of this. I know I did. I really enjoyed doing this. It was a longer project. Oh, by the way, one thing I didn't mention is I used hand tools to do this rather than use a grinder. And honestly, a die grinder would have went a lot faster, but it makes a huge mess. You know, and my shop is a wood shop. I don't have a metalworking area, and you know, it does make quite a bit of mess. So all that said, I use hand tools. It took longer, but it kept the mess down to a reasonable level, and I can clean it up pretty easily. All right, it's easier to clean up the file chips off my bench with a vacuum rather than, you know, having them floating through the air with a die grinder. But you can use a die grinder. It works out pretty well too, and it will cut your time by a lot. Let me tell you, I probably could have done it in 15 minutes or 20 minutes with a die grinder. So keep that in mind if you want to do that. Anyway, so go through that whole mess, 30minutewoodshop.com, whatnot, and hope you got something out of this. And if you did, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And hey, folks, until next time, good making.